With me we have Grant from Hello Games.
Hello.
Who will talk about the production of Joe Danger.
Joe Danger, yes.
Will you talk about something from the future, well, hopefully future games too?
I might talk about what we're going to do in the future, okay. But we'll have to see how nice you all are to me. So.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me okay? Is the microphone all right? Yeah? Good, good.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go. I'm ready.
Let's get going.
So, you might notice here I say occupation art director. What that really means is I'm an artist. And it says current emotion fear because as an artist sitting in front of a room full of people looking at me, listening to my every word is actually my idea of hell. This is actually my worst nightmare right now. I actually hate this. I hate being here. I kind of hate you all for being here looking at me, making me feel uncomfortable. So I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to take deep breaths, and together we'll get through this. So this kind of thing is what I'd much rather be doing. I'm actually a lot more comfortable sitting maybe in a dark room, hiding away from everyone else, drawing little pictures of, you know, a little man with a tree growing on his head, or a robot who can only express his emotions by printing out little sheets of paper. This robot's happy, even though his eyes are sad. Or there's this little guy. He's got little rainbow guts coming out, so that's how he prints rainbows. This guy, he has a little apple, and he actually grows the apple, and he gives the apple to the other little guys to make them his friends. And that's actually quite linked to, as a games developer and as an artist, kind of how I got into this whole thing. Because he tries to make friends and he tries to make people like him by giving them apples. I, personally, at school and things, tried to make people like me by drawing stupid pictures. I used to draw pictures of Sonic the Hedgehog beating up Mario, putting Mario into a blender. And this made Sega fans my friends, Nintendo fans my mortal enemies. And for people who are my kind of age, or maybe around that, you'll know about the console wars between Sega and Nintendo. Those days are over now. Unfortunately, Sega lost, and I'm never going to forgive them for that. But a lot of my inspiration, I'd like to say, comes from exploring the world, going and seeing Inca temples and reading encyclopedias, but that would actually be a lie. Most of my inspiration comes from the internet, and stupid things that people send me over the internet. And I think as far as creativity goes, the internet has kind of changed my life because I've got a circle of friends, a circle of people in the world. And every time a stupid video appears, they know that they send it straight to me. I look at it and I take inspiration. Like these are cool plates, and when you put soup in it, it makes them into little happy faces. And I want to have these plates. I haven't been able to find them yet, but I also wish I'd invented those plates. If I had those plates, I'd eat off them every single meal. I like the little broccoli sideburns that guy's got. And this is a screenshot of my game, Joe Danger, and I did all the artwork for this game with 3 of my friends, and we used to work in the mainstream industry, working in AAA, making all big blockbuster games like Burnout and games that sell millions and millions of copies and things like that. But as an artist, I didn't find it particularly interesting, whereas doing this kind of thing with my friends, I found very interesting. And the smiley face is going to actually be a bit of a theme of my talk, because I'm actually kind of obsessed with people's faces. Like, as an artist, faces are actually one of the most difficult things to draw. Hands are probably the most difficult, but faces with their tiny little nuances and differences to get different expressions. And one of the interesting things is, you'll notice in my screenshots, is that I put smiley faces on everything I can possibly put a smiley face on. And that actually came from, because I worked with 3 coders, I was the only artist, and you can imagine what coders are like. They're a little bit grumpy, you know, they're very into maths, they don't smile very much. So I'd do some artwork, and I'd show it to them, and I'd get nothing, I'd get no reaction. But when I stuck a big smiley face in the background, they couldn't help themselves but smile. And that pretty much, like even the coins have got little smiley faces. It was basically a bad influence on me, and it's meant I've added smiley faces onto absolutely everything. I thought this was a really cool quote, and I actually had this quote before I even knew this was going to happen in Disneyland. But I think that's amazing because I think video games are one of the most creative fields that are happening at the moment. I think the kind of scope for imagination and things we can do with video games it just kind of boggles my mind. It kind of scares me a little bit. There's so many things we can do. And I really believe that anybody can be an artist. I think anyone can make games, and I think anything can be made wonderful. And I think Minecraft is actually a perfect example of that. Games like Minecraft and Little Big Planet, I think it's given people who, before you'd maybe talk to them, they'd say, I'm not a creative person, I don't think I can do this. But because it's given them the tools, because I don't think being creative is about being able to draw, I don't think it's about being able to paint or anything like that. I think being creative it's something about the way you think about things. It's not even about having original ideas or innovation. It's just about a lot of it's taking something that exists and adding a bit of a strange twist to it. A lot of my favorite games are games that are actually games like Braid, where it's a very simple game. It's a platform game like thousands of other platform games, but Jonathan Blow took it and he added a little twist to it, and I think that's almost what being creative is all about. And I think you can sort of see that in the world around us. There's so many products come along, often existing products, and someone has added a bit of a twist to it, like a toaster that has a little baked bean holder on the side of it that makes baked beans, so beans on toast instantly. I think that is absolute genius. And I was saying about how people send me videos and how I take inspiration from these videos. I'm going to show you a few of those. This is very cool. If it plays. And what's really interesting is if you watch their faces, you can see how the different people react. That guy is not happy. And what's really interesting about things like this is that if you walk around these kind of shows like Minecon and you watch people play games, you'll see that full range of expressions passing over people's faces. So some people will be playing a game that's hilarious and colourful, and they'll look like they're playing Call of Duty or something. They'll have a miserable, kind of stern face. And in a way, I find it very interesting because we demo our games a lot at things like PAX and at things like this, and we show our game to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and you can imagine, like, kids especially are really mean when you show them games because they're entirely honest. They don't, like, adults try to be polite. They'll be like, yes, that was quite a good game, I'm enjoying myself, when inside they're thinking, I want to get away from this guy as quickly as I possibly can. But kids, obviously, they just say exactly what they think and they break your heart. But it kind of taught me that you almost can't make a game that appeals to everybody. Like that guy in that lift, that miserable guy, he's never going to enjoy the kind of games I enjoy. But I'm okay with that because I want to make games that appeal to the people who are happy laughing, the people who are happy smiling. So I think this is a face that an awful lot of people make when they're playing video games. That's what I kind of call the Call of Duty face. That is I am playing a game, I don't have a single thought going on in my head other than I am playing a game, I'm playing a game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but when we first started making games, we always said we want to make games that make people laugh, we want to make people smile, we want to kind of help them escape from this mundane, miserable existence that this guy's experiencing. And so I say, why do games have to be so serious? I miss the days when games were colourful and you just used to enjoy playing them. You didn't have to shoot anyone in the face, you didn't have to maim anybody, cut their skin off, or whatever it is that you have to do in some of these games now. I just like games that had nice, not that I want to make easy, kidsy games, I want to make games that are colourful, almost like Pixar movies. Like, they look gorgeous, but deep down, it's a really difficult game. We made a game called Joe Danger. I don't know if any of you have played it, but it starts off really colourful and happy, and it kind of welcomes you in with open arms. And then after about 15 levels, it just starts killing you over and over and over again. Not in a mean way, just in a, you should learn how to play this game properly. And I think that's kind of how games used to be when I was growing up. They were difficult, but if you got good at the game, it wasn't a problem anymore. This is another video that's very cool. So I think this actually taps into a strange thing that a lot of human beings have. That the moment you have a number that gets bigger, you just want to keep making that number bigger. And you don't know why, but there's just something deep down, you just want to do it. I'm actually glad that that bottle bank isn't near my house, because I think I'd probably be there playing it now. I think I'd probably have a drinking problem, but I'm pretty sure I'd have the highest score. And that kind of thing appeals to me a lot, because I come from, in the days when I used to play games a lot, it was all about high scores, and I think it's almost like an illness. I think it's an illness. I need to see numbers get bigger, and if there's something to be collected in a game, I need to collect absolutely everything. Like in Animal Crossing, I got all the flowers, and I actually deliberately avoid certain games because I know that, I'll hear people talking about collecting things and how many hours they put into this game, and I'm like, that sounds amazing, but I mustn't play it because my girlfriend would dump me, or I wouldn't do any work. And this is an interesting one, because I'm like the biggest Disney fan in the world. It's embarrassing how excited I am to be this close to Disneyland. And I went to Disney World when I was a little boy. I used to want to be a Disney animator. The first time I saw Lion King, I felt like puking. It was so incredible. And I'm kind of obsessed with the Imagineers, because when it comes to things like roller coasters and just all the kind of decoration and the craftsmanship and the art that goes into designing these theme parks, it's probably the closest you can get to being in a video game. You're walking around an environment that's been designed to be looked at from a specific angle, and everything's had care and attention put into it. And as an artist who works in video games, obviously I walk around looking at lamps and looking at fences and being like, oh, that's a nice lampshade. Oh, I see what they've done there. And it makes me a really weird person to be around, but I think it's quite exciting. And one of the things I was saying is about playing. I think that when you're playing with things, it kind of, like this where it says, if you don't play, you can't create. And this goes back to when we first started working on Joe Danger. We'd all quit our jobs. There was 4 of us. We were all sat in a tiny little room together, and we'd all brought our toys in, like the toys that I'd had at my parents'. I got it down from the attic, just to we were trying to force ourselves to think a bit differently about how we make video games. And when you're describing gameplay and how things interact, if you've got like Optimus Prime in one hand and you've got Lion-O in the other hand, instantly all your ideas become twice as cool. So we had this box of toys and we were playing about with them, and one toy in particular is this. Now, I'm actually too young to have known what this even was, but we all got playing with it, and it's an Evel Knievel stunt cycle, and the way it works is you plug it into that plastic bit, you wind it up, you let it go, and Evel Knievel goes speeding off. And I think I've got...
What a jump! Evel's riding the amazing stunt cycle. That gyro power sends him over 100 feet at top speed. Loop-de-loop, and he's not through yet. Into the dragster. Evel's super sprint car with built-in drag chute to slow him down. What a hook! And now, the sky cycle. That daredevil death-defying supersonic skyplane on wheels.
And obviously, it's aged a little bit, that video. The toy is also a little bit shonky, but it inspired us, and there was something about playing with this little bike, making our own ramps, setting it off. And we were doing all sorts of things, because obviously we're grown men sat in a room together playing with toys. It was a little bit embarrassing, but we were like firing out our windows and we were doing all sorts of things. And it got us thinking about what we talk about is tactile gameplay, basically, tactile controls. And it's a bit of a difficult one to get your head around, but it's things like in Mario when you jump. It's something about the arc that just feels right. And when you're playing a bad game, you often don't know why it feels bad. But when you're playing a good game, you just know that there's a solidity, there's a tightness to the controls that you're just like, this has had some real care and attention. And there's a game called Angry Birds. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's quite well known. And I remember playing Angry Birds, and I couldn't figure out why people liked it so much, because it just seemed really simple to me. I was I don't like the design of them very much. It rubs me up the wrong way. But I played it a little bit, and I was saying how I get obsessed with collecting things. Angry Birds is evil because it has the star system where you have to get all the stars on every single level, and then you get all the expansions, and then your girlfriend stops talking to you for 2 weeks. But it got me thinking about why do people like Angry Birds? Why does everybody like Angry Birds? Not just people because people are playing Angry Birds who've never played games before, but there's something about it that they just like. And it's to do with the touch controls, and I think if it taps into the elastic band mentality, which is if you give someone an elastic band, every human being on the planet wants to pull it back and fire it at somebody. And deep down, Angry Birds is all about that feeling of just clicking, pulling back, and letting it go. And fundamentally, that is great fun to do, and that is why Angry Birds is a really nice game to play. So I talked about controls that just feel right. In recent years, there's been a bit of a movement for no controls at all, and controls that, to me, they don't feel very good. This is a great video. Please work. Oh, this is the best one. Okay, I'm actually going to go and be risky now. You'll have to bear with me. This is indie development at its finest. Well, thanks, Windows. You've updated for me. Yeah, don't look. This is behind the scenes. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is a bit. So you see the guy in the top left? He is controlling that game. Now watch what he does with his hands. He's having a really good time. Now that's actually a real thing. If you play Joyride, or a lot of Kinect games, if you don't do anything, the game actually kind of plays itself. He's got a good zombie face, that guy. Okay. Okay. So, there's what I was saying about having fun when you're making games, and I've always tried to enjoy myself while I'm making games, and because I'm working with 3 of my best friends, a lot of what I do is to entertain them. I'm putting things in the game that's all about entertaining them, and hopefully, in the big wide world, there's other people who will enjoy the things that they enjoy. And so I figure if you're not enjoying working on a game, people probably aren't going to enjoy playing it. That's not to say that making games is fun all the time and it's great, because that's not true at all. There's times when it's really, really boring, but a lot of the time, you're having a really good time, and it's the best job in the world. This is actually the trailer for the game we made. I'll let you watch it, if it works. Oh, come on now. Okay. This is good. This is building character. This is good for me. So yeah, that was our game that we made. And that is the biggest start button I have ever seen in my life. So, we'd quit our jobs in the main games industry. We got into a room together. We'd sat playing with toys. We discovered a motorcycle toy that we all liked. And that's actually the most terrifying place to be for a games developer, because we worked in big studios and there's like a comfort there because you're not responsible for the entire game. Often, especially as an artist, somebody comes up to you and they tell you what they want, and you'll draw them a picture, and you'll show it to them, and they'll be like, make it more blue, or less blue, or make his eyes bigger. You make their eyes bigger. They go, can you make their eyes smaller? You make them smaller. They'd be like, make their eyes bigger. And you do that a lot, over and over and over again. But when you're working as an indie, there's no one there to tell you what to do with the eyes, so you have to do it all yourself. And so we knew we were going to make a lot of mistakes, so we thought we should make as many mistakes as quickly as possible. That was our logic anyway. So the first thing we did was to make an editor, which is, and get some physics in there. So this is the little prototype that we made. And it's not going to play either, so I'm going to have to go back into Explorer. I'm the first talk, by the way, which is why everything's breaking for me. The next talk will be run like clockwork. I wish I'd named these better now. That looks like a one. So you can see there, it's pretty much the same as the final game. We didn't actually really do that much more work. We just added another wheel, put a little man on it. But we got this working really, really quickly. We just threw it together. And it immediately made us all feel better because we realized that if this was fun, and it was actually quite fun to play, then the final game, it made us realize we were on the right track. Is this video going to work? No, it's not. So the next video I'm going to show you is how we actually develop the game. And a big part of our game was the editor, which is where you can make your own levels. And I made most of the levels in the final game, but this is a video showing you, we basically just stuck a camera in the corner, set it to record, just to attempt to kind of show you what it's like when you're making levels. I won't show the whole thing because it's 3 minutes long, and you don't want to see 3 minutes of this. But the way we make levels is we normally pass the pad back and forward. So I'll make a bit of level, I then make my friend play it. I see how he does, then he gives me back the pad, I tweak it a little bit.
On its side,
No. Okay, yeah.
So it goes back to that thing about entertaining each other. If my friend's having a good time, then other people probably will as well. And often, because like one of these guys in particular, my friend called Dave, I've known him for about 15 years, and if I can hurt him in a video game, I absolutely will. Every time we play a co-op game together, if there's a sticky grenade or something, I will stick it to him as often as possible. Because we're really good friends, and that's what really good friends do to each other. We hurt each other and we betray each other and that kind of thing. And this is an evil level.
Oh God! Skilled. Good. Just the decoy at the start is annoying me up. Right.
Getting close.
Oh God, no! Okay.
So I'll stop it there, but you see what I mean about the idea of making people smile, making people having a good time. Because that level there is absolutely evil. Like, he is dying over and over and over and over again, but he knows it can be done. Like, I did that level first time, gave it to him, and he dies repeatedly, and he just wants to play it again and again until he does it. And there's something, I don't know if any of you played like Super Meat Boy or any of the games like that, it taps into this sort of completionist, like, it can be done, I'm going to keep trying. These are some cool little photos, little smiley faces on things. These are the kind of things I like to spend my time looking at. Now this is video. So, we finished Joe Danger, and after that we decided we finished Joe Danger and there's 4 of us working on it. We all sold our houses, we all got rid of all our savings, got into ridiculous debt, and we had to release Joe Danger because if we didn't, we'd all just end up on the streets or something. It doesn't bear thinking about. But the game wasn't complete, it was finished, but we had to chop out so many ideas. There were these things we wanted to do that we just didn't have the time, we didn't have the money. So after we finished Joe Danger, and luckily it did quite well on PlayStation, and it meant we could actually carry on doing what we're doing, sat in this little room together, we decided to make the sequel, which is Joe Danger, which is going to be the ultimate Joe Danger game. We're going to pour all the ideas that we couldn't put in Joe Danger 1, we're going to put in Joe Danger 2. And I basically recorded, while we were working on it, on my phone, the things that happened, and I'll let you watch it, because it's quite interesting. We ate a lot of pizza. That's the tiny little room I was talking about. I've never been that close to 3 other men for so long before. the coolest thing I've ever seen, Optimus Prime. So yeah, that gives you a little idea of what it's like working on Joe Danger. And I think that's the end, if I can go back into PowerPoint. And if anybody has any questions.
I thought that I will help you out with the microphone. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I will run to you and help you out. But I mean, I have a question actually.
Yep, go for it.
How come, what was the most significant reason why you quit your regular day job and just decided, okay, we'll start something completely new.
Yeah.
We haven't done this before, but we will do it now.
Well, it's interesting because if you talk to a lot of indie developers who've worked in the mainstream AAA industry, they'll tell you horror stories and they'll say, you know, I hated every minute of it, it was horrible, but actually I absolutely loved it. I loved doing it. And I went straight from university into working on Warhammer Online and making monsters and all that kind of thing. And I worked with other artists who are absolutely incredible artists, and I learned so much from those guys. And for me, it just felt like I wanted to do my own thing, and I didn't want to have other people telling me what to do all the time. And I think as an indie, that's really, really important.
So do you think that you could go from the university and directly create your own games? Or do you think that what is it called? The experience that you got from the AAA, I don't know how many you have known this, but AAA is like the high production games like Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty is the AAA game. Yeah, but like, what do you feel that it was a good school to start out in a different company before you started your own, or like would you do it if you could change your past? Would you just go on and do Hello Games directly, or?
Personally, no, but I think there's plenty of people who've gone straight from university and have made awesome indie games and things, but because, I don't know, I learned so much, and because of the kind of games we make that, you know, full 3D, full animation, 2D artwork and things like that, it was quite a lot of work, and I had to use quite a lot of shortcuts that I learned from these really good guys. But I fully believe there's somebody who's really amazing who could do it straight after university. I don't doubt that for a second. But, so I think it all works, like, depends what you like to do.
Thanks. Yes, let's see here.
How do you make a source engine?
How do I what, sorry?
How do you make a source engine to make the game?
Oh, how did we make the engine?
Yeah.
Well, that was there's 3 coders. One of them was a gameplay coder, and the other 2 guys were primarily graphics programmers. So they basically, like you saw the wheel prototype, where it's just a blue background, a wheel. As we were working on that, they were working on building up the graphics engine, so they were implementing shaders. Like, that's not my area of expertise, but they wrote it, and because they all used to work in the mainstream industry as well, so a lot of them worked on the graphics engine for Burnout and games like that. So they didn't use, like, I wouldn't necessarily advise other people to do that. I think it's a lot easier to use something like Unity or like a free engine, basically like that Source Engine or Unreal. It makes it a lot easier.
Okay, I think we're running a bit out of time here,
Okay.
but we may have time for just one more question. Okay, Daniel?
Could you give us a hint on the new games?
Oh, the new game. There's nothing very much to talk about yet, but I've been working on Joe Danger games for 4 years now, and I love Joe Danger, but I think 4 years is long enough to work on Joe Danger, and we've just started working on the next game, and we're not even sure what it's going to be for. We're assuming it's going to be on some either super high-end PC or some next-gen console maybe. We don't know. We're in that exciting phase where we just get to prototype things. We're just throwing ideas in there, and I'm getting to do brand new artwork again, which is fantastic. And we're calling it Project Skyscraper. That's its code name, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, we'll be talking about that soon, hopefully.
All right, I only have, okay, one last question. What would be your best tips? I know that there are a lot of, new aspiring game developers in here. I would love to know, like, how do I get started? Or what should I do to, become a successful game developer?
The best thing you can do is to contact other people who are doing what you want to do. Like, the indie circles and people who are in indie games are probably the friendliest, nicest people you'll ever meet, and most of them will bend over backwards to help you in any way they can. And I think if you actually say you're working on a game on your own, it makes it so much easier if you just go and show it to someone else. Like, get involved with the Unity forums or just talk to indie games people and show them your game as early as you can, because the more feedback you can get, the better game you'll make. You don't want to be working in complete isolation, because it'll damage the game, but it also makes you go a little bit peculiar. So I think it's good to mix with other people.
All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.